as I was saying, things we're going to do. Hopefully, we'll see how far we get. Implement task get endpoint. I think this should be straightforward, right? We're just going to retrieve the record from Redis and spit it back out. Make it possible to save info about the task to the stream record via CRUD API. We already have a thing to, update the stream record. So we just probably need to add some things to the database to do that. Like add a column, probably. And probably just add... how do I want to go about doing that? I guess we will add all the things we want to add there. I think it will be easiest if we have the transcript segments in the database, in the table for the stream. So that we'll have to update some other things as well. Maybe we'll see. And then we'll work on the UI, right? Making that all come together. And we probably also need to then... No, I guess if we can implement the get endpoint for the task, then we'll be able to get the status information. That should be returned in that, right? So we should be able to get either the status, or if it's complete, then we'll get the data as well. Or maybe we can get the status and whatever data we have. Maybe that would be a good way for that to work. I don't know. Let's just do something. See where we land. All right. So, right. Task API. It's been a little... Well, we looked at it briefly as we were going through other things, but... Here we go. So we have our main function here, and then we have get list handler. So this returns a list of the tasks that we know about from Redis, except it really doesn't. We started working on this 2 weeks ago, I think. Yeah, 2 weeks ago, and then just kind of left it here. We do need to come back and we'll probably need to come back and actually do the rest of this, but we don't need it right now, so we're not going to work on it right now. Yeah, I did go back and change this back to an asterisk, but this still doesn't work exactly because it finds things other than the top level task record. But again, we're not working on this right now. We're not working on create handler either. We already did that. We're going to work on get one handler, right? So get one handler is going to get the record ID from the request path, and then it's going to get the record from Redis, and it's going to return the record. The record is a couple of things, so we'll figure that out. How do we get the record ID? We probably need the app state, so we'll have that there. I guess if we want to see how this works, we could just look at one of our other APIs that already does this. So in CRUD API, we're already doing this, where we have handlers for like the stream. We'll be editing this as well. So get one over here takes this path enum. Of course, our path won't be a UUID, I think. It should just be like a U64. What are we doing in get list handler? Sorry, got distracted by seeing things from the corner of my eye. It's those bits that you shared, Foxy. They're flashing over on my other screen, so they catch the corner of my eye every once in a while. I look over there and like, what's changed? Oh no, it's just the bits. What was I doing? So we're gonna look at got something. All right. Get one. Oh yeah, we did that. No. What? Right. Easily distracted. Oh no, more bits.
Foxy Blue just cheered 2 bits.
All right, thank you for your 2 bits, Foxy. It's a total of 7 bits today. Wait, do I have a? Oh, I do have a leaderboard. What did I set mine to? Is it monthly? Yeah, monthly top cheers. You're number 2 for the month of January. Right. So I wanted to look at something. Where did I want to look at? What was I doing? Oh, right. So in the create handler, I was looking. Yeah. So I64 is an interesting data type to use. That's a signed integer. Does Anchor really return a? Are we sure about that? Shouldn't it be unsigned? Doesn't matter. It probably doesn't matter, but let's does that compile or pass cargo check? Yeah, okay, good. So anyway, good. Let's import Axiom extract path. Here we go. Okay, so we got the record ID. 100 bits.
Foxy Blue just cheered 100 bits. Not to be outdone.
Yeah, and the text-to-speech works too. Thank you for 107 bits, Foxy Blue. All the bits. All right, so getting the record from Redis. What does that mean? Right, so hold on, let me save this really quick so we can get rid of those red squigglies. There we go. So in Redis, we have a bunch of things now, right? So you have tasks and we have task data. So task has like the thing that is like the here's the work to be done, right? And then task data has the actual result. Now, one thing we don't have is an actual like thanks for the love. One thing we don't have is like an actual status. Like, is the job done? We don't know. We could can we, like, if you look at the payload, like there's a list of URIs, and then you could look at the number of URIs versus the number of data elements in here to determine whether or not it's done. I'm not thrilled about that, so let's do this. Let's go back to here and say, well, you're half right, Copilot. To the task record. We want to keep track of, like, is the task done or not? Because we're not doing that right now. We probably want that, so we can return that in our get one handler. Now, I think what we'll do here, let's say, okay, we'll return the record. But what we're going to do is we're going to say, we're going to construct a record. But it's not JSON. What we're going to do is we're going to say it's a... I don't think we have a task struct defined in this file, so we'll make one, right? Looks kind of like that, and we'll say, okay, the thing we're going to return is the this record. Now, for this, I think to work seamlessly, Let's take a look at how we're returning the data in Get 1 for the CRUD API. Because I think there may be some things about how we are returning data. Stream view. Stream detail view. No, it's flat. Okay. Cool. It's just, we do want to have an ID in it to make React admin happy, but that's fine. Okay. Yeah. So something like that. And then we actually need to define that struct because it doesn't exist yet. At least in the scope of this service, right? I think we defined earlier in the stream a task struct for a different service for a different purpose. And maybe those things could be like interchanged, but that's not what we're doing right now. We want actually not deserialize. We want serialize. Yeah. And this should be a string, I think. And what else are we going to have in here? We're going to have like a status. Should status be a string? I feel like it shouldn't. Can we make an enum? Have I ever made an enum in Rust? Maybe not. Ooh. Yeah, we could do something like that. Do these statuses actually make sense? So if nothing else, we want like, it's not done and it's done, right? As statuses. What would we want other statuses? What would we want? So queued would represent the kind of the initial status of the task when the task API creates the record in Redis. Processing would be the status that would get set when the worker starts processing the task. Complete would be the status when the worker completes. Failed would be if we get some kind of error. I think it would be interesting to go back to the worker and have it ignore jobs that are complete or failed. Does that make sense? I don't think that's necessary because we have a queue. We have a list in Redis that's keeping track of the things that are still in flight, right? So we don't need to worry about like filtering the task record itself based on status. The status is the feedback to things looking at the record after the fact. So for instance, we don't have to scan the queue list to check to see the status of the task. Okay. I think I'm convinced. So the other thing that we're going to want is the actual data. Optionally, maybe. So an optional JSON value, right? Could be a thing. So it's whatever it is. So anyway, another thing we can do here, we're going to address the red squiggly, but first, we'll put that in there. So we'll convert it to JSON, we'll serialize it and return it. We still need to actually talk to Redis and do all that stuff, but we'll get to that. I like to actually have something that we know that the API call is working. To this before we worry about anything else. So let's save this and probably fix imports. Is that the right place? Yeah, serialize, deserialize. Okay, what else is wrong? Save. Okay, so task status doesn't implement debug. or other things. There we go, like serialize. Now, I don't know how that's going to work. What is it actually going to serialize to? Who could say? Yeah, so we also need to convert this to a string. All right, so I think that should be fine. And so now we're going to build the task API. I've decided I'm just going to do it by hand. Make sure this actually works. Maybe it'll be faster than the other way. Yeah, failed isn't used. Sure. Okay, and then I guess we can do this. There we go. Now if we go back to Postman, we can make an API call. Is there a task gate? There is. There's not any data though, for whatever reason. Let's look at task. Task 5 might be good. I think we had a bunch of data there, right? Oh, there's task 8 data. Okay, yeah, 8 works then. So what does this look like? Okay, well, of course, we're not actually seeing anything yet because we've not actually implemented the part where it reads from Redis. But we have ID of 8. We have a status of queued because that's the hard-coded thing we put in, and data is null. Status code 200. So that works. Which is good. It's good to check that like the hard-coded stuff works before we worry about like actually tying it into Redis. And then we have examples of how we are talking to Redis. So currently we're just going to copy paste the connection stuff. And should we move the queue name into the app state rather than using like reading the environment? Like everywhere else, we're not directly reading the environment variables in our handlers. So probably we can put it in app state. How many places are we reading queue name? Do we need to read queue name? So here's another thing, right? So I guess not. Oh yeah, we probably honestly we need to probably how many times can I say honestly and probably we should at some point consider extracting out kind of the logic for finding okay, you have this ID, here's how you find the task record key from that ID, those sorts of details out. You know, and that's not anything fancy. We just like, can we do this here? Extract. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I wonder, you know, I don't use the inline Copilot stuff a lot. Can we try this? I mean, this is easy to do by hand, but I'm kind of curious how this works. To function. Just like a general refactoring command. Okay. So we don't actually want that there. But that's what that looks like. So if I copy that and then I undo, redo, undo, redo, undo, redo. Where was I? Where did that just happen? Ah, right there. Okay. Cool. So let's just cut that. And then we'll stick that. I mean, we could have like a utils file and do all that stuff, but I'm not going to bother with that. All right, where did we just make that change? Why, oh, is it right here? Ah, yeah, right here. Here we go. Yeah. So yeah, anyway, so we don't actually need the queue name because we're not going to interact with the queue, I think, and get one. We do need to go back and change the worker and how some other stuff works. But for now, I'm going to ignore that to do. I'm just going to get the connection here to Redis. Should be good. And then, yeah, then we're gonna see what Copilot does here. Yeah, so it's gonna use the function we just made, and then it's going to use kind of the low-level command. What else you got? So here's the high-level command to do hget to get our hash. It's still wrong. This is less wrong. Okay, so, but what we want to do... is that wrong? What did we say we were going to return status and data? So I think we just want to, like, do it like this. Expected 2 arguments found 1. Get a single or multiple fields from a hash. Huh.
FazeMax Slack just followed.
FazeMax Slack is what I'll go with. Hey, FazeMax Slack, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Can I just pass multiple keys here? Like data and then status, which doesn't exist yet, but may. Soon. No, it probably takes like a vec or something. Let's go to the definition of that. So field is F. Is single arg. Value contained is exactly one argument. False if it's 0 or more than 1. Yeah. Okay. So probably a vec is what we need to pass here. Is variable arguments a thing in Rust? Let's imagine I know where the symbol is for... Hey, there it is. All right, and then... Aha! I'm learning. All right, so... What is the actual type of this, though? It's not option string, though. Surely not. Oh, right, because... Huh. What would this be? Interesting. A tuple? It's an interesting choice, Copilot. I'm not sure why you did all that. Do we get a tuple? Is this... It seems to be acceptable. Let's call it record. There we go, there we go. Now, how do you feel about that? Okay. Okay, so I think maybe there's a clever way of doing this, but maybe we can just say let status. So we want to translate the status string value into the right enum value. I mean, I don't necessarily want to do... Okay, I don't want to do all that. Equals. Ooh. Wait. Well, wait. I'm confused. This shouldn't be option, though. Should it? Should be just like that, right? Yes. So this, in fact, could be just like... I think. Can you do destructuring of tuples in Rust? I guess I'm going to find out. So data. And status. Seems to be okay with it. Okay. And then Copilot handily writes something that is going to assume the string is one of these things, and we're just going to throw a 500 error if we see something that's unexpected. Okie dokie. And then I guess data should be like option string, actually. PTION. Like so. And then I think we just do this. Shorthand syntax. Doesn't like it though, because I guess... Now here's the thing, right? So data... Oh, right. So this is supposed to... This is not serialized JSON. This is a thing that is some arbitrary JSON when serialized. So that means that whatever's in data... I mean, what's stored in Redis is serialized, right? It's just a string that has some JSON in it. Wait, this doesn't make... This doesn't make any sense at all. We're not storing data in the record. Right? If we look at task 8, there's no data here. We're not doing that at all. What am I doing? Okay, so the only thing that we need really to get from the record is the status. There's a separate record that has the data in it. It's a list that we need to pull the information from. So then all of this goes away. And then we're just pulling the status. That status field from the record hash, right? Yeah, this is fine. I mean, I guess we could actually take this and embed it inside of here. That'd be fun, right? That would work, right? Status is that. Data is none for now until we implement the other part. Is that okay? No, because it doesn't know. Like, we'd have to pass in like the types here if we do it like that. So let me just unwind this a little bit, and we'll do it in 2 separate steps. There we go. And then data is none. Save. Okay. The issue is that if we are like assigning the result of the match, and we say that the status is a string, then it can infer that the status inside of the enum is a string, so then it can infer what the these generic type arguments are. Whereas it was having trouble the other way. So this is fine. Now, how are we getting the data? Well, we have to get it from this other thing, which is another thing where we are constructing some kind of key, I think. Not to be confused with data key. That's a completely unrelated idea. So we are, pushing onto the queue. Oh, right, it's the task worker. Okay, so never mind. We're not going to share code between the task API and the task worker. So I think at some point we might, and we'll make another one of these. I'll make the function now. Task data key. Again, not to be confused with the data key. Okay, so that's the idea. And then get the so it's always going to be a data list from Redis if so we could just say if it exists, right? We don't need to care about the status? Question mark? Right. This will then allow us to say get a partial result and be able to potentially show that to the user if we wanted to. Now, if we were implementing GraphQL APIs, we could do things like, oh, and I see you've redeemed hydrate. I don't know how long ago that was, but I'll take another sip of water. It's a good reminder. You don't necessarily need 8 glasses of water, but it's good to take a sip every once in a while. Right, so we'll have this data key, and let's see. Copilot should probably write the rest of this for us. No, I don't want to do that. So, what do we want to do? We want to have a vec of strings, I guess. Okay. Oh, hey, look. Option string. That's interesting. So this is imagining that, like, we're going to get... How's this going to work? Let's go check the Redis docs. What is the actual command to get the contents of the list? It is a list, right? Yeah, list is the type in the data key. Can we just get that? Is get the thing? Get key. Gets the value of key. What if key contains a list? Does that matter? What does that look like? I guess we could just try it, right? There's a way to just like run commands here, right? So we do like get task colon 8 colon data and run that. Wrong type operation against the key holding the wrong kind of value. Okay, so we cannot do that. Well, keep looking. Is it lget? IJL. There's lset. LCS. Keys. How do we get the contents of a list? Lol, what? What? Ooh. Hold on. Sidebar. Lol, what? Okay, cool. Oh. Uh-huh. the piece, but I didn't see that. All right. Anyway, how do I get the contents of a list? Is there like, there's mget, returns all the specified keys. HMget, HMset, HVals. IJKL, LCS, LIndex, LInsert, LN, LMove, LPop, or LNPop, LPop, LPOS, LPush, range, rem, set, trem. Okay, that's all the L's. Okay. Let's try something. You know, for all that I use Copilot, one thing I don't ever do is how do I get a the contents from a key in Redis that contains a list, question mark. You can use lrange. Ooh, lrange, huh? I mean, it's not that I don't believe you. I can believe that, but I'm gonna look at the docs. There is an lrange. Maybe I can even click on it. There we go. All right. Returns the specified elements of the list stored at key. The offset start and stop are 0 base indexes, with 0 being the first element, 1 being the next. -1 is the last element. Cool. So I should be able to get everything. There shouldn't be that many things in the list. But yeah, I think the idea is that we do lrange. Range. Task. :8 : data. 0 equals, no, -1. There we go. And there's all the stuff. All right, cool. Anyway, just need to kind of verify that that's how it's actually supposed to work. Kind of curious what. So it just like generated a bunch of code over here, right? So we have let data list vex string match con.lrange. Hey, this looks familiar. Okay. Yeah, we could take that. Okay, so this gets us a vec of string. But what we want to do is we want to take each of those strings is in fact a JSON list. So we want to not do this, whatever this is. What's going on here? Okay, we're going based off the length of the list. I don't need any of that. Nope. Parse the JSON list in each item in the data list. So this sort of works. Like we're just mapping over the vec and collecting it back into a vec. Not exactly what I want to do. What else you got? No, I don't want to do that. There we go. We'll take this and I'll just modify it. So what I want here is I want data list to still be a vec of something. I guess 30JSON value is right, sort of, but not really. What I really want is I want a vec of that. Like I want to say that the thing that is being parsed is in fact a list. And then what's inside of that is some arbitrary JSON, right? And then we're going to change this up. Okay, what does expect to? Returns okay. It may panic. Yeah, we don't want to do that. We use like unwrap or. And the default value is going to be an empty list if we fail to parse. Now maybe this is not always the best thing to do. Also, I have a typo here. What is else on? But I think this will be fine. And then we just need to merge. Yep, that. Oh wait, so could we just flatten then here? Does that work? What does flatten do? Creates an iterator that flattens the nested structure that's useful when you have iterator of iterators or iterator of things that can be turned into iterators. You want to remove one level in direction. So here's a vec of vecs. Hold on, let's look at that example again. Collect. All right, so now we don't have a vec of vecs because we just flattened it. Good, and that should. Good. Now, data here is always going to be a list of things. Maybe we don't need to be have to be optional. Maybe this could just be like a vec. What if the list doesn't exist? Right, so in this example, that existed. But if we take some other key, does that return? Yeah, just an empty list, not an error. Good. So now, just rename this a little bit to make it all link up. And I guess, you know, we can just have this all called data because it's just kind of like a chain, right? Yep, there we go. So now we get potentially an empty list of data. We get a status. We get an ID. Yeah. I don't think we're going to get through all of this today. All of the things that I was talking about. But let's see. How much more can we do? So let's look at the status field stuff. And I think what we'll have to do is next time around, we'll work on the UI stuff. and the database model and those things. So, like in this API, we are returning the status information, not to be confused with the status code. The status from the task record. Now, it actually needs to be there. So when we create it, we just need to add that into the hash. Is queued the right status? I guess it is, right? That's the queued processing complete failed. Okay. The other ones we have to set inside of the worker. So in task worker, we just have the one main function, right? So what do we want to do here? So we get the task key from the queue. We get the task data from the hash based on the key. We print it out just for logging. And then we start processing it. So I think what we want to do here is, at what point do we want to say we start processing it? Probably as soon as we get to here, right? So we want to update status to not running, but whatever we said it was going to be. Processing, which is with the lowercase p and the actual string. Let's see if Copilot can do that. So we are just trying to do hset on task key status process. Okay, cool. And we're using expect here because we're just going to panic if anything goes wrong in the task worker. And then when the task is finished, we remove it from the queue, the temporary queue. We also want to update the status to complete. Now, I don't know how we're going to handle if something fails, right? So to do that, we would need to can we handle a panic, or do we just have to redo how things work? Let's just say we print something. Let's see what Copilot does with this. Message. If this panics. I don't know if we can do this. Panic, catch, and wind. Is that a thing? Your existing code here. Invokes a closure, capturing the cause of an unwinding panic if one occurs. This will return okay, yada yada yada. Currently end one, it's not replicated. Yep, yep. Yeah, don't do this. Escape. Alright, so instead, what we can do is we can say, instead of using expect, we'll do what we're doing in other places where we're using match, and then we're handling the failure case. How do I want to do that? This is so against the grain of my natural inclination coming from like JavaScript, TypeScript to be like, oh well, we'll use exceptions. We can have some catch blocks and do that, but I don't think that's not really what's done here, from what I know. Get the payload from the task data. Okay, so here we're updating the status because we have the task that we're going to work on. Basically anywhere we're calling expect between here and here. So basically in the loop, we want to instead handle that by attempting to update the status of the task. Does that make sense? I think the main thing that's important here is the not the operation of the task worker. Like if the task worker fails, that's just a failure in the task worker. If our attempt to call the downstream service to process the task fails, that's where we want to do something else. So here's a question. We don't actually check to see the status of the response. So let's do this. I think we don't. Now, granted, actually, let's take a step back here. So we have response, and that's all well and good. And then we'll have that response is that, right? So we're going to take this part, and this is just like, okay, did we get, did it work? Our request, not the status code or whatever. So if the status code is not like successful, not 200 series, then we're going to update the task status to failed. Is I think what we're going to do. Then, we're gonna then update the status to failed and break. Yes. So if the status is not success, then update the status to failed and break. I think that makes sense. We probably should have been doing at least the break part before. And it is failed, right? Or is it failure? It is failed. Okay. Cool. So this might even work. I mean, really, honestly, in real life, like if if it wasn't just me using this, and I was like, doing this professionally, we need to have like test automation. We need to like have unit tests and higher level tests to check like all these different paths, to check, okay, if the thing that we're calling, does a thing, how does it behave, and how does it all work together, and that stuff. But I'm not doing any of that because that can be fun, but that's not the kind of fun I want to have right now. Okay, but I do want to see if this actually like runs. That's not the right key at all. Also, bubbling up errors instead of using expect. Yes. So specifically for the task worker, I'm taking an approach where I just want the task worker to die, and like have monitoring on it. Right? The having it panic is bubbling in that sense was the thinking there. And that's not what I'm doing with like the APIs, where we have to return some kind of response to the client. Those places we are handling like, and then returning back to Axum, which is the web framework I'm using for that. But for the task worker specifically in production, I'd have something that was monitoring the processes, because you'd have multiple of these task workers deployed on multiple servers that are like doing the work. So can we build multiple things? Can we do like task worker too? I think so. Worker. Yeah, and in more real life situations where like this is something that's something someone is paying me to do, or something that's making money, that would cover the cost of like deploying infrastructure, I might be more inclined to use stuff in AWS, because that's where I do a lot of my professional work. But it's kind of fun to just like build things ad hoc and take the big building blocks of like open source stuff you can run locally, like Redis or Postgres, and then build everything around it. It can be fun for a certain definition of fun. Still the wrong key. And task worker worker. There we go. Should work. No, snooze the ad. I'm not done yet. Oh no. Well, I clicked the wrong button. Well, I can't really go for another hour because I need to eat. It's kind of awkward. But let's see. How do I want to do this? I think what I'll do is, hey, Foxy Blue. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap up the stream here in a minute, but unfortunately, I can't cancel the ad. Okay, so let's see. Let me think about this. I guess while we're waiting, let me go over here and let's see. Let's queue up another task. There we go. Header task 9. So that's queued up. Yeah, you're hungry too? Well, it's even later for you. You haven't had lunch yet? There we go. All right, so we see the task is processing. It's not even queued. It's processing. All right, so I'm just gonna chill here for a couple minutes. Maybe I'll edit this part out of the VOD before I upload to YouTube. You had a late breakfast? Yeah, my breakfast usually is just like a fiber bar and 2 shots of espresso, maybe with a little creamer. Okay, so this is working. Still processing. At least now I can see like that. What do we see in Redis? You went to Jamba Juice? Oh, nice. I haven't been to a Jamba Juice in a long while. Yeah, because there wasn't one in downtown Seattle when I used to work there. that was a few years ago. You know, about 4 years ago. You know, task 9. Where is it at? Why don't I see task 9? Oh, there it is. Is the task... I guess we won't have task data until the first job completes, which should be really soon now. Unless something went wrong. I guess something... Oh, we're back from ads? Good. How do you interface with FFmpeg? That's a good question. So the... I'm just shelling out to it. So I am... Let's see if I can find an example of that. So not in task worker. So like, for instance, in silence detection, right? So in this microservice, we have, I'm just using command. Where's that coming from? Tokyo process command, which I think is just the like Tokyo version of std process command. Right, and I'm just I'm running it, and then I'm capturing the output. And I think this one is using regex to find the parts. Yeah, there we go. From standard error. Whereas in the, again, not task API, is it this one? Yeah, transcription API. It's a little bit more complicated because we are actually getting, like, in the silence detection, we're just running a filter. And so we're just getting, like, information from FFmpeg. I mean, it's all information, but, like, in the output, it's just, like, text that we're regexing. Whereas in this, in the transcription API, because Whisper needs, like, the raw audio from whatever track we're transcribing, I'm piping the output. So I have FFmpeg here, and it's outputting the raw audio as a WAV, and we're piping the STD out, and then piping that into, converting that into STDIO, however that works, piping it into the Whisper command. And it seems to work. So did we get the data yet? Looking for task 9 data. Task 9 data. There it is. Okay, cool. So we are getting data. I was wondering if you were using any of the FFmpeg rates or just running the process directly. Yeah, I didn't really look for that. I think because also, I don't remember if I looked for that specifically. I did some initial work on like how some of the stuff is going to work with Django before I decided it would be more fun, and it was going to like open up like possibilities for things, taking this architecture and using Rust, although it didn't have to be Rust, it could have been Python, whatever. But I was looking for crates for Whisper, but I just landed on, it seemed easier once I figured out that I could pipe in the audio and make it all work, just to run the OpenAI Whisper command line, which is Python. So we are using Python. Just yeah, there's quite a few. Well, that's the problem. It's too many choices. Okay, so I did want to do one more thing, which is to actually, we're gonna make this API call one more time, and there we go. Now we see data. So here's the data coming back from the thing I just described. So this is me reading back what Brainless said at the beginning of the stream. Yeah, talking about Baldur's Gate 3. And we have ISO 8601 duration start and end times for the segments here. And it's all just concatenated together. And it might even be in the right order. 68, 73, 73, 77, 77, 80. Yep. So here's it all. We're still processing though. Converter said, I've been looking at making a streaming TV server for my DVR, and it's nice to see how other people work with it. Yeah, I mean, I've not done a lot of like this kind of audio, video processing stuff. Just not been in a situation where it was a needful thing, but it's given me an excuse, all the streaming and kind of wanting to automate some of the things or all the things. So I think though that's going to be it for today, because I do want to eat soon. I am going to I'm just going to let Copilot generate a commit message. There we go. I'll push that up and get a tag going here. What am I doing here? Tag. Create tag. So what have I been doing? I've been doing like 2024-0107 dash stream. That way we can look back and be like, okay, this is what was done by this stream, you know. So I think I linked it earlier, but this is all up on GitHub. I'm going to push tags. There we go. I think it's going to ask me where I'm pushing them to. It is a AGPL licensed open source package because I tend to do that unless I have some particular reason to use a different license. What else is worth saying now? I think that's it, except for thanks everyone for coming out to the stream today, whether you were in chat or you're lurking. Thanks for all the bits and the follows. If you're watching this on YouTube later, come over to Twitch sometime, hang out, say hello. Thanks again, everyone. Yeah, I'm glad you found the stream too. Yeah, it's fun to have some company. Yeah, Rust is great.